Broadcasting live, safely from behind the walls of Studio B within the Big Talker FM compound. Far from the socialist siren of UNC Wilmington, this is Right on Campus, After Hours. And now, here are your hosts, Kevin King and Tyler Cralle.
All right, everyone, hour 2 here of Right on Campus After Hours on WLTT, the Big Talker FM, 93.7 and 106.3 FM, streaming live around the world, 24/7, 365 at thebigtalkerfm.com. And don't forget, our new website is up, rightoncampus.com. We got the podcast up there. We're getting pictures. We're going to have pictures from tonight on the website by tomorrow.
I'm already trying to forget.
Hold on a second. Say that again. I'm already trying to forget tonight, and you're going to have pictures of... Tonight was the night, wow, Ilario Pantano was such a promising young candidate, and then 60 days later he blew up on Right on Campus.
That's what we do here. We
You've
crack
corrupted
the core
me.
of...
The youth vote has corrupted me.
Well, for everyone who's just tuning in, we do have Ilario Pantano in studio with us, who he is running for the congressional seat, seventh district here in North Carolina. There's too many races going on. I'm getting the numbers.
It's exciting. This is an exciting time, and it's very exciting because we have a money bomb for all you Twitter and Facebookers out there. We've got a money bomb going at PantanoForCongress.com, and we have been working hard to try and raise $10,000 in 2 days before we shut out the end of the financial reporting quarter, and we're on track. We've been at a very successful couple of months so far, and we'd love your help getting over the finish line. And there's a reason why, because this race is important. And this race is going to take resources because we are going up against not an 800-pound gorilla, but $1 million gorilla. Mike McIntyre is a very formidable candidate. He's a serious guy. This is a serious race, and you can't do this on goodwill alone. You need resources.
Well, I was going to say if that would be kind of a good transition. If you want to explain a little bit about the Young Guns program, I've been reading about that over the last couple of days.
Well, thank you for asking. We're very fortunate. We took an approach with our campaign early on, and we recognized that often what happens is candidates recognize first they have a primary fight and they orient everything towards the primary fight. Yeah. And then if they make it through that, then they think about going after the opponent and the incumbent. Well, we launched our campaign from the beginning knowing that the real race was going to be against the incumbent, Mike McIntyre. And we've been oriented squarely against Mike McIntyre from the beginning. And that strategy is a risky one because we do have a primary that's in a month. But by focusing on Mike and doing so in a way that's respectful and honorable, what we've been able to do is garner a lot of support, not just amongst conservative Republicans, but even amongst conservative independents that in the past have supported Mike and recognize that there is a real alternative. Because if you go out and you beat people up over the head and say, oh, that vote you made is wrong, well, we're talking about 2/3 of the electorate. I mean, look at the numbers. 2/3 of the electorate have voted for him and given him money consistently. So we've tried to use a different approach. And in so doing, that approach has resonated, up and down. So whether it was here locally in the community where we're getting groups of cops and firefighters involved and Tea Party activists involved and young Republicans involved, and thank you, Tyler, for getting us our 1,000th Twitterer tonight, but also at the national level, and that we're getting some of that national level support that we're going to need. So the NRCC, which is the National Republican Congressional Campaign Committee, I had a meeting. If you guys, I'm sure you're familiar with Eric Cantor, who has been one of the very strong opponents of this health care bill, strong activist, if you will. And then I met with all 5 members of the North Carolina Republican congressional delegation. So Congressman Jones, Congresswoman Myrick, Congresswoman Fox, Congressman McHenry, Congressman Coble. And after meeting all of them and having some very productive meetings with them, I met with Chairman Pete Sessions. And Pete Sessions is probably the number 3 highest ranking House Republican. And Chairman Sessions was very quick to recognize that here this time, for the first time, there was a competitive race in 7th District, not a competitive primary, but that there was a candidate, our candidacy, my candidacy, was a really viable one to challenge Mike McIntyre. And so he had extended an offer that's never been offered here before. And he brought us into this program called the Young Guns Program, which means that for the first time, this district is going to get national level resources. And what does that mean? It means that last week, calls were already being made into the district, paid for by the National Republican Congressional Committee, to identify that Mike McIntyre has voted with Nancy Pelosi more than 90% of the time this last year. And that is important stuff. That's the kind of stuff that we're going to need we've got New Hanover County, we've got Brunswick County. Those two counties are fairly heavily Republican, but we have a lot of other counties in this district, and we need the ability to message, and we need the ability to deliver that message, and part of that comes with the national resources that we're getting. So it's exciting to have been considered. They looked at a number of different things. They looked at all the candidates, of course. They made a determination that I was the candidate that could actually beat Mike, and part of that was they recognized our strategy. And our strategy wasn't to try and go through a man that is universally well-liked. Our strategy was to go to Washington by identifying how the progressive movement has gone so far askew from what most conservatives in this district here in southeast North Carolina respect and appreciate, the values that they're interested in.
Right. That's kind of interesting that they have that sort of mentality, because we had that discussion yesterday morning on the morning beat of the tactic of kind of going through somebody and taking them down in a sense, or going around them.
Well,
it's kind of an interesting political dynamic.
There are lots of different approaches, and there isn't the way, there is a way, and we can try different approaches. My experience is I'm an unconventional fighter. You guys know I was a sniper in the Marine Corps. I worked in the special operations community. I went back in as an infantry officer, and I was a door kicker. So my background isn't kind of fanciful, and it's really a little bit more pointed and a little bit more muddy. And so I understand a little bit of the counterinsurgency approach, and I would offer that there are ways where you have to isolate support bases, and one of the things that we've done is very quickly we moved to isolate the support. People who in the past had just not voted for Mike, but have in fact given him significant amounts of money. And we went out and we isolated the influencers that have been involved in supporting him, and we started to take away that support base early on. In essence, choking out the oxygen. So if any of your listeners are mixed martial arts guys, we basically were putting a blood choke on, and it's the kind of thing where you might not know that you're being slowed down, but all of a sudden you pass out. And so what we started to do is we started to put the choke on. And in so doing, we started to get, and in fact, if we've got a second, I want to share with you a letter that was written by a supporter, a longtime supporter of Mike McIntyre, who recently saw fit to come over and support our campaign. The reason this letter is notable is that it was sent to Mike McIntyre's office. It was also sent to Chairman Fetzer, the chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party. Mm-hmm. It was sent to Frank Williams, who's the chairman of the 7th District, and it was sent to Alex Dale, who's the chairman of the New Hanover County GOP. And the letter, I'm going to keep the writer anonymous, but I'm basically going to point out the fact that he and his wife are sad indeed to abandon your re-election effort, Mike. We have not only been political allies, but also friends for years, and we hope that the non-political friendship will survive. But the awful truth offers no solace to those of us who began with nothing and through hard work and dedicated work and honorable effort have managed to accumulate comfort of assets. And the cavalier fashion which the Congress and the Senate have abandoned capitalism and the Constitution of the United States provides shocking evidence that some change must occur. And then there's this great quote from Churchill, and I bet your listeners know this. Upon this battle depends the survival of Christian civilization. I mean, that's how people feel. That's how strongly this one former supporter of Mike, who's now a supporter of ours, that's how strongly people feel about the wrong direction going on in Congress. And I guarantee you, if you got Mike in a quiet moment, he would tell you that he's darn worried about what's going on up there, too. Because I don't think for a moment that the conservative values that he has offered to represent for such a long time are the values that are being explored in Washington right now. In fact, I would say it's the opposite. And I think in a private moment, he's probably pretty upset about what's happening in Washington himself. Well, and by the way, he could have done something about it. He could have become a Republican.
That's true.
And if he had, we might not be having this conversation right now. But he's not, and instead he votes for Nancy Pelosi. And so we've got to go up there and replace him.
Yeah. He's definitely going to be replaced by someone, I think, in this election. And that kind of brings us to the next question, because we actually had someone call in, and there's actually 2 points I want to get to. I'm going to take what the caller ID, or what the caller wanted to ask about, is that we've talked. Michael Lee brought this up on the show today, and he said, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. And a lot of people go to D.C. and with the best of intentions, and they get up there, and this might have happened to McIntyre. They get up there, and all of a sudden, what they went up there for now has changed. And the caller wanted to know about, what guarantee do you have that by going up there, you're not going to fall into the earmarks, and you're not going to do all the pork, and you're not going to just kind of do what everyone else has been doing up there all this time?
Tyler, I think I'm going to do something that's very politically dangerous. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Watch out.
Are we recording, Nikki?
Are you ready? Listeners, are you ready for this? You can't handle the truth. The truth is there are no guarantees. The only guarantee is your ability to vote me or anyone else out of office. The guarantee lies with you.